welcome to the Rundown Podcast. My name is Abe Hicks, joined by my main man, Dylan Kearns. We are back better than ever. It's now June. The All-Star voting has started. We are right in the middle of the season. Dylan, how you doing, man?
Doing good. You'll hear later in the show why I'm maybe not towards a certain team that I root for, but baseball's good. I love it. We're getting into that pre-All-Star stretch, which this can really be a big part of the season where teams can pull out those records that really get them over the top. A lot of wins can be taken from you in this month that could play a factor down the line. So definitely something to look forward to. But I'm excited. Baseball. We're getting into summer. Weather's nice. Good to go out there, get a hot dog, and enjoy the ballparks.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we have a heavy packed show. We got a lot of content for you, a lot of things to discuss in this show. But first off, we're going to headline our sponsors, Spiders Batting Gloves. Yes, if for all my baseball players out there, softball players out there, whatever it is, go check out Spiders Batting Gloves. I don't have them here in front of me. I wish I had them, but they are amazing. I know Dylan also has a pair. Use our code RUNDOWN15 for 15% off of these great batting gloves. They also have other baseball equipment. Go check them out. They are the real deal. For sure.
Yeah, I love them, man. I got them for slow pitch softball. Got the red ones I rock. So definitely a lot of fun. I love those gloves, man. They're nice. So yeah, Rundown 15. Head on over there. Get you a new set of batting gloves. They're sexy too. They're flashy. You can make them look good. So we love it.
Yes, sir. All right, let's get right into the show here. Big news starting out the week this week. We got some players in some gambling trouble. Tucupita Marcano. Did I say his name right? Did I say it right? Tucupita Marcano. Banned for life for betting on his own team, the Pirates, last year while he was hurt. And there's some more players involved in this scandal as well. We're talking Andrew Saalfrank, Jay Groom, Michael Kelly, Jose Rodriguez, all suspended for the rest of the year, potentially throwing their whole career away by betting within baseball. I don't understand. I don't get it. Dylan, what do you make of these guys and gambling issue that is not only hurting baseball, but it's hurting all the sports?
You got to be some kind of an idiot to just be in that spot and bet on your team. I know it's flashy. I know it's fun. I know at the end of the day, what you want to do is you're out there. You're in your 20s. It's fun. You hit a parlay. You feel good about yourself. It's like it's that maybe it's peer pressure that's involved with these young kids. They understand that, hey, a lot of my buddies are making money betting off certain things like that. But you really got to understand. You may lose money on that bet, but you could lose your career in an instance. And we just saw that with Marcano. And someone from our hometown, Andrew Saalfrank, pitched in the World Series last year, only 26 years old. He struggled to start the year this year, went down to AAA. Now he's popped for the year due to gambling. So he's done. And then another one, a headliner that kind of was thrown under the radar, a name that was really brought up many years ago, Jay Groom. Yeah. This guy, one of the top pitching prospects, drafted by the Boston Red Sox, traded to the Padres. He was supposed to have a bright future. He's been abysmal in the minor leagues. And his career just got a lot more abysmal. I think this is the end of his career. I think you can't come back from this. Your ERA is just under 6 across all levels of minor league baseball. You were a first round pick, and now you're popped due to the gambling situation. So a lot of players making bad decisions on their futures that they maybe not even realize in the moment. But that sign's posted on every clubhouse that says, hey, you can't gamble. Like this is Rule 21 in the rule book. You cannot look at this and say, yeah, this is something I can get away with. Marcano, the first player in a century to be banned for gambling.
Yeah, I think it's like you said, you have to be a special type of stupid to bet on the own sport that you play in. I remember I said this on TikTok in a video, but I spent time with the professional team in one of the 4 major sports leagues here in America. And I got to talk to a league executive who is a lawyer who came and talked to the team that I was working with about betting. Just give them a heads up, a warning, do not do it. And I remember talking to her. I said, why do all these players bet on sports? Like, why do they think they'll get caught? She says, I have no idea. Because they'll never get away with it. These leagues have deals with FanDuel, DraftKings, all the different betting sites. They know exactly when you place the bet. They know exactly where you place the bet. There is 100% chance you will get caught. I don't understand it. I never will. I don't know if it's some sort of adrenaline rush. Like you said, they have buddies that are betting. It'll never make sense to me. It is definitely a career killer. Now you can put some blame towards the leagues for saying, hey, you guys are all in bed with the betting companies. I can't get a cut of that. It's all about integrity, the integrity of the game. That's a whole different discussion. But man, these guys, especially as a borderline minor league player, can't do it. You just can't do it. So, yeah, the awful decision and choice by those guys. But moving on to the best team in baseball right now, one of the best teams in baseball, the New York Yankees. The Bronx Bombers are back. Man, Dylan, what do you make of the Yankees start this early year?
They're on fire, man. And I picked them. You remember I said they'll be in the World Series.
Yeah, you did.
I had them against the Braves. Obviously, that may be not looking the best right now. But I will say the Yankees, man, they're doing it. And they're doing it without Garrett Cole. And it doesn't matter because their rotation's elite without Garrett Cole. You're looking at Carlos Rodon. Luis Gil has been exceptional.
We'll get into him later.
Yeah. So he's been on fire. There's just so many good arms in the rotation, and the bats are finally hitting consistently, which you can preach for so many years. The 2-out hitting, the double plays, the leaving runners in scoring position, this whole situation that the Yankees have been bitten in the tail by for so many years is finally not happening. And they finally got balance in the lineup with Verdugo, who's been on fire. You're looking at Juan Soto, who's obviously a generational talent. They made the right offseason moves. I will tip my ball cap to them because they finally made the right moves in the offseason. They finally showed some testicular fortitude to make those moves. And now look at the Yankees riding high in that division. That's very talented. Baltimore still not going away by any stretch.
They're right behind them. Yeah.
But the Yankees are looking darn good.
Yeah. You hit it right on the head there. This team is so well-rounded. This team is giving me vibes of 2017 and 2009. This team is that good. And it starts with the captain, Aaron Judge, and followed by Juan Soto. I mean, they're like peanut butter and jelly. This is a match made in heaven. If Soto's down, Judge picks him up. If Judge's bat missing, Soto picks up the slack. But when they are both on point, it's one of the best duos in the history of baseball. I mean, Aaron Judge had an abysmal April, just awful. And in the month of May, he was unstoppable. It's like you forgot about his first month. In the month of May, he batted .317, 14 home runs, 12 doubles, 27 RBIs, and an OPS of 1.415. The other day, Soto hits a go-ahead home run against the Giants. You're right. Like you mentioned, situational hitting. Soto never shies away from the big moments, especially being in those pinstripes. And the pitching has been so good. The reigning Cy Young winner, Garrett Cole, hasn't even thrown a pitch in pinstripes this year. And guess who's carrying the rotation? It's not Nestor Cortez. It's not Carlos Rodon. It's Luis Gil, who we'll get into later. I am very well pleased of this Yankees ball club so far.
They're looking good, man. They're looking good, and they're taking care of business. I love it. I love it. Now, I do want to pose the question. Yeah. Bronx Bombers are back. That's our headline here. It's what we're talking about.
Yes, sir.
How confident are you when October rolls around? It's cool to talk about them in May. How confident are you in your ball club that you're a fan of that they will get over that hump that Aaron Boone certainly seems he can't get over when it comes to the post? I know it's a different roster. Yeah. But how do you feel that maybe those days of October could nip them in the butt?
I'm confident. I'm very confident. And here's why. Garrett Cole and Aaron Judge in the offseason, they had some talks with the Steinbrenners and Aaron Boone. They said, hey, we got to make a change here. We got to make a change. Juan Soto to that lineup is just he's done such good things in that clubhouse, along with Alex Verdugo. You know, the Red Sox didn't want anymore. He's helped that clubhouse so much. And another pickup I was very skeptical of, Marcus Stroman. They've added some very, very good personalities in that ball club that have an edge to them, that have that evil empire in them. They've added that to the clubhouse. I think it's a great, great addition, and it will pay off big time once October rolls around. That's
Yeah,
what I think. That's what I think.
that's
So
a good thing.
yeah. Yeah. So moving on to the best team from the AL to the best team in the NL, the Philadelphia Phillies. They are balling out right now. Everything is clicking at the right time for this team. Dylan, what do you make of the Philadelphia Phillies?
The Phillies at first, I will say this. The Philadelphia Phillies, I had it pulled up, but I think when it comes to what they faced earlier in the year, now they did face a lot of teams that were below 500. You could say that that played a little bit to their record, but against teams over 500, they've only played 9 games. 9 games against teams that are over 500. So, I mean, of all the teams that they've played over 60 games so far this year, and only 9 of them have been against teams over 500. So, I think that barks to me a little bit when it comes to the Phillies' record to start the year. I do think they're a very talented ball club. I'm not going to deny that. Their rotation is elite. They have Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola, and of course Ranger Suarez, who had a rough start the last time out, but I think has really taken a turn and is still one of the most underrated pitchers in baseball. Now, to their credit, in those 9 games against teams over 500, they are 7-2. So it's not like they're setting the world on fire in terms of those. I mean, they're taking care of business against those teams too. So, I mean, they're dominant at home, 27-9 in that area. They're getting solid pitching, and the offense is carrying. I think Bryce Harper is doing damage. Of course, you picked him in a lot of categories to win awards this year, so he's doing good. Bryson Stott's starting to turn it around. Castellanos is starting to turn it around with his average a little bit. We brought him up about players who regress or progress, and he was one of those that we were questioning. But the Phillies so far, they've looked pretty good throughout the course of the year.
Yeah, yeah, totally right. I definitely agree with you, and I think it all starts with manager Rob Thompson. He's been amazing, and he was my preseason manager of the year. And better yet, this is what I said at the beginning of the season. I think Rob Thompson is going to be a key reason why the Philadelphia Phillies will win the NL East. I think Rob Thompson deserves so much more love for the turnaround and postseason success for the Phillies. Let's go back to June of 2022. The Phillies have Joe Girardi at the helm, and after a disastrous 22-29 start, they fire Joe Girardi. Who's next up in line? Guy by the name of Rob Thompson. They name him as the manager, and you know what he's done since, Dylan? A NL pennant, 2 wins away from a World Series, and 1 game away from another appearance in the World Series. Rob Thompson has figured out a way to successfully win with all that talent and personalities while navigating being in the toughest sports city in the country. The Phillies will be really good this year, and the main reason why is because of the great leadership of Rob Thompson.
There have been some bold. That's a clap right there. That's a clap.
My cap off to that one.
That is a clap.
That's what I said at the beginning of the season, and that's come to fruition so far this year. But we'll see. I would hate if they get the 1 seed best record in NL, they're going to the World Series. I don't want to play in Philly. Not in that environment. With all the momentum they've had these past few years, the Phillies, they could be a scary team. We'll see what happens with the rest of that division with Atlanta. Obviously, Ronald Acuna's down for possibly the year. But the outlook there in the NL East, it's looking good for the Phillies. And moving on from some ball clubs that have been amazing to some young arms that have been also really solid so far this year. And we'll start off with the number 1 pitching prospect in all of baseball, Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens so far, and I know he's pitching to the date that we are recording right now. But in 22 innings, he has 30 strikeouts. That is absurd. He's living up to the hype, without a doubt. I love what I'm seeing out of Paul Skeens. I actually went to an Indianapolis Indians game today, and I regret not watching him while he was here. Biggest regret this year. But Dylan, what do you make of Paul Skeens?
I tried to tell you. I said he's not going to be there the next time he takes the ball at Victory Field. You got to go see him pitch. And he was pitching against Alek Manoah that night as well. So that was definitely one to get your popcorn and go to the ballpark. But I love Paul Skeens. Now, I do question, we've talked about it with the young arms getting hurt. Remember how we talked about that a couple weeks ago?
Yeah.
Spencer Striders, those guys that just aren't, like, their arms can't withstand the velocity. Now, I think this is a guy who's thrown a lot of innings in college. So the Pirates are making the right decision to have him pitch at the big league level. You can't waste his innings in the minors. He's already thrown a lot in college. And now here he is at the big league level and he's producing. I think this is a guy that can really take the mound. Like, I don't think I've seen someone out of college that was this polished in a very, very long time. Like, he was shoving in the College World Series, and they're like, yep, he's ready. Let's shove him in the majors. And he's ready to go in May.
Yeah.
Like, in May of the next year, he's ready to pitch and hold his own and look pretty darn good at it.
He was ready in April. Let's be honest.
He was, and he's holding his own against big league hitters. So I am very impressed with what I've seen from him. Am I shocked? No, I thought he could do it. Especially, I mean, maybe sub 3 was definitely something that catches my eyeball a little bit. But I mean, this guy could be an all-star if he strings into, again, another good month of baseball here. So very excited to see what his future has. But he's been a good piece to that ball club that's needed a little spark when he came up.
Yeah, I think the perfect word you described for Paul Skeens was polished. I don't remember the last pitcher we've seen that's been polished with that sort of hype to come up and deliver at that level. I know it's only been 4 starts, but I'm really excited to see what Paul Skeens can do the rest of the season. And just think about the Pirates rotation here for a second. Paul Skeens and Jared Jones, a 1-2 punch that could be deadly for years to come. If they can figure everything else around those two guys, in a questionable NL Central, you never know what could happen. But having those two at the top of your rotation, it's a pretty good thing to have if I'm a Pittsburgh Pirates fan, for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's been all over the place. He's shoving. Jared Jones also good in that rotation. There's just a lot of bright spots for those young arms there.
Yeah. Now another young rookie transitioning to another young rookie who's probably, you can argue, has been one of the best pitchers in all of baseball this year, Luis Hill, the back-end rotation guy for the New York Yankees, has been shut down all year. He's been killing offenses all season long. He currently has an ERA of 1.82. Luis Hill has 7 consecutive outings of 6+ innings of 1 or 0 runs allowed. And Dylan, in those 7 starts, he has a sub ERA of 0.65 and 50 strikeouts and less than 15 hits. Only one other pitcher has put up numbers like that. And you know the name? It's Jacob deGrom. Luis Hill is in rarefied air, man.
He is. He's been all over the place. And this was a guy, a lot of people are like, rookie? He's not a rookie. Yeah, he is. He's got a cup of coffee a couple times with the Yankees. He's had some arm problems and stuff like that. I've always said, and I remember I remember I told you about it, and you were. It made you think about it. I said Luis Severino and Domingo Germán hold back the Yankees.
Oh, you were right.
I said a couple years ago.
Yes,
and I mean they were good at times. Severino obviously had stretches where he looked pretty darn good. And Domingo Germán, minus the off the field issues, he had a couple bright spots.
A perfect game.
Yeah, a perfect game to note, and one in Oakland there. But those were 2 guys that kind of clogged the rotation a little bit. And then you have some of those other pieces that come and gone, the Sonny Grays of the world and the Jordan Montgomerys. But you look at what they've got now. Luis Hill's finally getting a crack to pitch. They're finally letting Clark Schmidt pitch. And I think some of that was a default due to injuries, but Carlos Rodon, the rest of that rotation looks good. But looking at Hill again for a second, this guy, he was one of the top pitching prospects in the Yankee system a couple of years ago, and he's finally getting his crack, and he's making the most of it. So I'm very impressed with what I've seen out of him.
Yeah, now the question is, I definitely think he can keep this up, but the question is, if you're the Yankees, you put an innings limit on him. Do you do that? And from my perspective, I think you got to ride it out. You got to ride it out. He's in such a rhythm right now. Don't tamper that rhythm. I know you want to put him on an innings limit, but listen, a World Series is on the line this year with all that talent, and Garrett Cole's not even back yet. So maybe so. No, I'm not even going to psych myself out. Leave him the way he is. He's dealing right now. Ride it till the wheels fall off.
Yep, that's the way you do it.
All right. Last young arm we're going to talk about here, somebody who had just an explosive April, had a 0 ERA. One of the most fun pitchers to watch, but happens to play on one of the worst teams in all of baseball. Mason Miller. He's a dog. I remember he came into the Bronx last month and just carved everybody up like Thanksgiving turkeys. It was just eviscerating hitters. But there's talks he could be on the trade market as a rookie. That's insane.
Yeah. Wow. Where do I start with Mason Miller? This is a guy who he was projected as a starter. He was projected to be a starter in Oakland. They said, we like him in the bullpen. Let's make him our closer. So they made him their closer. He pitched in spring, and then he came out blazing, 103, 104. And you're like, holy, this guy's catching your attention. He's a rookie in the back end of a bullpen, like Wild Thing out there, just shutting down hitters. Now you're looking at this potential opportunity. Oakland's moving to Vegas. Bad teams don't need closers. At the end of the day, bad teams do not need closers. And what you have here with Mason Miller is a very, very shiny piece of gold in a bag full of trash. Ooh. And right now what you're looking at is someone with 5 years of team control before he even touches free agency, before he even touches arbitration. Like, there is so much team control here with Mason Miller that teams got to be licking their chops, but also scared to death to make a move like this. I see a couple teams that could bolster their bullpen. You want the Phillies to actually win a World Series? Go get them. You want the Phillies to actually win a World Series and not just get there, not CS, not beat the Braves. Yay. That's not what they're doing. They want to win. And if you get Mason Miller, that's a move. Now, I will say it's going to cost you 2 top 10 prospects in your system, probably two more top 20 prospects. He is going to be a steep, steep price that a lot of teams probably won't go to. But at the end of the day, this is that shiny piece of gold that could win you a World Series if you play your cards right. Someone that throws the ball incredibly hard and someone with lots of years of control. He can be your closer for the next 5 years. We're talking 2029 all the way through then. So a lot of great signs here for Miller. Wherever he ends up, I doubt it's in Oakland. Someone's going to bite on it. And you got to consider the arm issues potentially there as well. So a lot of bone to chew off here.
I gotta give you that, Dylan. That was one of your best takes I've heard. That was a very, very solid takes. That's up there in the Dylan classics of tapes. That was really good, really good. But I agree. It's a big risk for a team to take. But listen, if you want to win it all, it takes risk. It takes risk. Obviously, Oakland's not going anywhere this year. He had an amazing April. Has a 2.45 ERA in the month of May, which, isn't terrible, isn't bad at all. I think that's right. Sub 3 ERA. So, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I think teams want to see a lot more volume. Let's see, give him some more innings. Let's see what he can do before we flip that switch and make it, an organizational changing trade for a guy like Mason Miller. So we'll see about that. Moving on for a big-time young player to a struggling young player, former number 1 overall pick, Spencer Torkelson. The Tigers have had enough, and they've sent him down to AAA. What do you make of Spencer Torkelson, former number 1 overall pick, going back down to Toledo?
Too many strikeouts. Not a lot of on base there. Just not much going on with Spencer. High expectations. They projected him maybe 260, 270, 30 bombs, 100 RBIs. Like those are big numbers. And he did hit 30 bombs last year, so we'll give him that. But 230, he was hitting just over 200 this year. It's just not good. And the Tigers are in a place in that division. Now, the Royals have surprised a lot of people. They're up there. Cleveland also there. There's 4 teams in the AL Central over 500. I haven't seen that in a very, very long time on June 3rd or June 5th. I mean, that's insane to just break it all down and say that. But I think maybe this can be good for him. He's already been sent down once. So this is his second time going to Toledo. And it's not a good sign for him. Maybe he can find himself. The Cubs did a similar thing with Kyle Schwarber. They sent him down, or it was either Schwarber or Happ. I'm pretty sure it was Schwarber. They did it to Hap too, actually. So what they did was they gave him a lot of playing time, and then it was the year. So 2016 happened. Schwarber debuted in 15. 16 happened, tore his ACL, played, and he struggled in 17 a little bit. So they sent him down. This is kind of similar with a big power hitter and a projected big bat in your lineup that just wasn't hitting. They sent him down. He worked his swing a little bit and got back up. So maybe this is a lesson for Torkelson to kind of fix things and figure it out at the AAA level.
Yeah, so I talked about this a few weeks ago when we were talking about Jackson Holiday getting sent down, and I think the same thing still applies here to Spencer Torkelson. Get down there and figure it out. I agree with you. He's a home run or bust guy, and the problem with that is when you don't slug, when you're not hitting long balls, you virtually add nothing to a ball club, and that's where Torkelson's at right now. Last year he had 33 bombs. This year he only has 4. He's not adding much to that Tigers ball club so far this year. He strikes out a lot, and the Tigers are in the position. They're trying to win a division, and they need all hands on deck. And if you don't have that from Torkelson, from a bat in your lineup that you have high hopes for, high expectations, you got to find somewhere for him to figure it out. And hopefully later in the year, he can bring that value and be a source of happiness for your ball club.
Yeah, that's definitely something that the Tigers are hoping for with what they got from him. But he's got to prove it. He's got to work his way back up and prove it to get to that level.
Yeah. So going from a collapsed player in the AL Central to a team that is collapsing in the NL Central, the Chicago Cubs right now have a record of 30-31. In the last 10 games, they are 3-7. Shota Imanaga started off really hot. He's starting to come back down to earth. Dylan, this is your team. This is your ball club. What is going on with your Chicago Cubs?
It hurts, Abe. It hurts. This team hurts me. This Chicago Cubs team hurts me. And any Cubs fan that's watching this, I want to talk to you. You, the Cubs fan, okay? Now, I know I'm on this show giving baseball takes and opinions and stuff. I watch a ton of baseball, too much, my girlfriend says. But the Cubs are my team, right? And everyone can feel a certain way towards their team. I'm going to hit you with facts, and I'm going to hit you with why this team isn't going anywhere fast. The Chicago Cubs held their annual Cubs convention, in which Jed Hoyer, president of baseball operations, Jed Hoyer, and general manager Carter Hawkins sat in front of an auditorium of Cubs fans. I was 5 feet from Jed Hoyer when on January 13th said the Cubs are in the 4th inning of their off season, meaning it's still light. There's plenty of time. And Craig Counsell was asked that question where he said, okay, if this is the 4th inning, I don't have to worry about a lineup card already because there's going to be more moves made. Well, guess what? He lied to your face and he lied to my face. Because the only move that he made since declaring he was in the 4th inning of his offseason was on February 27th, after spring training games were played. He gets a team-friendly slap-in-the-hand deal to Cody Bellinger. Congratulations, you won the wait. And he went to a place where he had success, and that's probably the only reason he's back. Since then, they did nothing to the big league roster. So this guy, president of baseball operations, Jed Hoyer, preached to every fan, every person that spends money, that walks along Wrigleyville, that goes to Murphy's bleachers, that goes up and down and spends money on jerseys and players and all the stuff that every kid dreams about rooting those Cubs on, and a fan base that's dire and passionate and just bragging about everything that goes on. And this team wonders why they're in the spot they're in right now. This team went 10-18 in May. They suffered a 5-game losing streak. Michael Busch, who was insane in April, you got to give him that. Michael Busch has been abysmal. 35 strikeouts in the last 78 at-bats. He couldn't hit a beach ball on a tee. So looking at the rest of this team, in terms of where they go from here, they're just going to have to live with the offseason that they spent signing Hector Neris, your heart attack closer, and Cody Bellinger on a team-friendly deal. Those are your only two moves that you made to the big league roster that you felt was competent enough to go out and win to a roster that missed the playoffs last year. I'll give you Shota Imanaga too. That's a big one I missed, and I'll say that. But without the starting pitching, Javier Assad, sub-3. Ben Brown, a near no-hitter. 7 no-hit innings. A young arm that has an ERA of 3.30. Shota Imanaga, sub-3. Justin Steele's in that rotation. Jamison Tyone, sub-3. Without this rotation, this team would have 18 wins and sitting with thumbs up their butts. Just nothing to do. So looking at this, the Cubs' offseason's been abysmal. Jed Hoyer lied to your face. He lied to every face that has been representing the Cubs, their fans. And this is a sorry-ass ball club, top to bottom. It just is. You look top to bottom, there is not a single player that you said, oh, yeah, they should be an all-star this year. There's not one. So it's abysmal. It's terrible where they're at right now. But I will end my rant by saying that there's just so many opportunities that this team could have had to get better. And an owner that doesn't have deep pockets and a general manager that doesn't have a clue how to do his job is the reason they're in this spot right now on June 5th, under 500, in a division that me and you could win if we strapped up our Blackhawk Christian uniforms.
I'm going to leave that rant at that. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to leave that alone. Dylan, that rant is between you and all of Wrigleyville. Not going to touch it.
It's abysmal.
It's not going well so far.
Okay, I will say one more thing about it.
All right.
The Cubs were promoting how excited they were to get David Bodie back. David Bodie's one of the worst baseball players I've seen put on the uniform in a very long time, since I was a kid. And he was sent to the minors. He was down there. They're like, yeah, he's just not good. But now they're bringing him back thinking like he's some superhero, when in reality, the rest of your roster's so bad you brought him back to give you life. And you're basically asking a vanilla wafer to give you the same results of an Oreo.
Yeah, you're right. You're spot on there. Oh, man. Cubs fans, let us know in the chat. What did you think of Dylan's rant/thoughts there? All right, moving on to our last topic. I want to hopefully make it a little bit more cheerful before we go. MLB, they're doing this thing with Nike and the City Connect uniforms, and some of them I really like. Some of them I'm like, what are we doing here? You can just scrap, throw it away. But it's a good chance for teams to get creative. And so there's been 7 City Connect releases so far this year. We got the Phillies, the Mets, the Tigers, Guardians, Cardinals, Rays, and Blue Jays. We just want to give our updates on who our favorite City Connect uniforms that have dropped so far this year. So Dylan, if you wanted to go to MLBstore.com right now, which MLB City Connect uniform jersey are you picking up?
I'm getting the Toronto Blue Jays, that new bad boy that just dropped. That thing is sexy. They did a great job of implementing the city. They did a great job of implementing Canada. They really put their country and their city, in that jersey. That really looks good. I will say that one is my favorite. I know I just went on a Cubs rant. The South Side one's sick. No, I'll give them that. The White Sox one is really nice. So I'd probably say it'd be a toss-up between that White Sox and the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah. No, for me, the Blue Jays are really solid, but for me, it's the Tampa Bay Rays. They knocked that out of the park. I love the dark color schemes. I had some glow-in-the-dark elements within it. My favorite part about that uniform is the Tampa Bay Ray on a skateboard. Very skateboard themed. I thought that was incredible. Kudos to that design team there in Tampa and Nike. They knocked that out of the park. Love the hats too, resembling the Ray in the bridge down there in St. Pete. 10 out of 10. They knocked that out of the park. Perfect job. But yeah, that's all we have for you in today's show. Please let us know your thoughts. We're excited about what's going on in the baseball season so far. We're going to be back with you as soon as we can, possibly next week. with more, more baseball content, and just be on the lookout. And how you can do that is subscribe to our channel here on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. We're everywhere. Give the Rundown a follow. We really appreciate all the support. Thank you all for tuning in. And baseball content is on the way. Have a good week. We'll see you later.